Welcome to day number 10 of our Gita Collective for September, reading the entire Bhagavad-gītā. We read the whole 5th chapter today. It's a lot. It's a wonderful chapter. There's a lot there. We'll go pretty quickly through it, but we'll share what we can and hopefully make it, it'll be a great experience for you reading this 5th chapter. There's been a topic that's been on the table. It's on the table for the whole first six chapters of the Gita. What is the better path for Arjuna? To work in this world, to take up social responsibilities and be active, or to walk away from the world, to be like a renunciate, a sannyasi, a renouncer. There was a question. Arjuna says, it sounds like you're telling me to do both. That's what he asked at the beginning of the 3rd chapter. Krishna said quite a bit since then, really glorifying karma yoga most of the time. He's been showing a picture of the peaceful-minded, steady-minded sage, but Arjuna always thinks of that in terms of walking away from the world. And so again, he's going to ask here, it sounds like you're telling me there's 2 different paths I could take. He's going to say in the first verse of the 5th chapter, please tell me which one's better. Just a straightforward question. Tell me which one's better. Make it simple for me. And so that's our big question here, which one is better? And, a lot of times within the worlds of yoga and different yogic paths and everything, we don't like to put things on a hierarchy. We appreciate the idea that there's truth in all the different paths, or in a sense, all the paths lead to the same place. There's a truth to that, but there's more to it than that. And these will start to play out in the Bhagavad-gītā. Krishna is going to speak in this chapter saying, these 2 paths, they go to the same place, but one of the paths is better. And he gives the reasons why it's better. He actually says it's better. So if we go to check text 2, he'll literally say that that karma yoga is vashishyate. It's a better path than renouncing action. All right. And then he's going to tell us why that is. In the next verse, in text 3, he's going to say, because it's sukham. Karma yoga is sukham. It's easy. You do it with ease, right? Walking away from the world, living in a cave, having no love in your life, having no engagement for your mind and engagement for your senses is a very difficult path. But the path of yoga through action is an easier path. Therefore, that's one reason why it's better. And by the time we get to text number 6, he's also going to say that it's nachirena. Karma yoga is not, it means without delay. It's faster. He's going to say that karma yoga is faster than renunciation of action, to achieve the goal of it, to achieve that peaceful, detached mind that can become deeply absorbed in meditation and fully peaceful and satisfied and fully spiritual. That is a faster path, the path of action, than walking away from the world. And so he's being emphatic about this. He's going to still be even more emphatic about it when we begin the 6th chapter tomorrow. But let us read some of the verses. When we get to text 7, or let's say text 7 through text 16, this chunk of text here is going to give us a description of Niṣkāma karma yoga and how it leads to freedom, right? If we go back to the 4th chapter, we heard Krishna saying there around text 14 and verses around that he was not claiming any responsibility. He was saying, I build the framework of the universe, but you are all filling it in with your desires and getting results for that. I don't have any desires within this realm. And so I'm not responsible. It's the desires that make you responsible. So he said in text 4:14, there's no work that affects me, right? I got no karma coming my way, nor do I desire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruit of reactions of work. They can be very busy working in this world, but because they've let go of their desires, they're not responsible. They don't have to accept any reactions, good or bad karma. So we'll read about how we can do that ourselves. Understanding how Krishna is transcendental to this world and to the world of action and reaction. We can rise above that, not by giving up work, but by giving up the selfish desires that um, that generate our work, that are the stimulus for our work. If you let go of those desires, then you're not responsible. Okay, in text 11, he'll say that the yogis, abandoning all attachment, they act with body, mind, and intelligence, and even their senses, but only for the purpose of purification. All of their actions, being a mother, being a father, being a business person even, right? Or in Arjuna's case, even having to be a warrior on a battlefield. They don't do it with a selfish, materialistic purpose. They do it as yoga, right? As an act of surrender, as an offering, with controlled senses. In text 12 will say, the steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because they offer the results of all their other activities unto me, Krishna says. Right? That's another Krishna factor one. Whereas a person that is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of their labor, becomes entangled. So he's giving a very clear formula, right? It's not the work itself, it's the desire behind it. If we can let go of selfish desire, we let go through knowledge. That's what makes karma yoga. I understand I'm not my body. I understand I don't need anything external to satisfy the senses of my body, to find happiness, because internally, within myself, there is an eternal happiness that's not subject to the constant changes of this world. That's the knowledge that turns karma into karma yoga. He's saying when you act with that knowledge, then you're always acting for purification, even though you're doing the same activities of all the other people are doing in this world. You may look externally like you're just as attached, but you're not, because internally you totally let go. You're acting only for purification. You never become entangled. You become like he'll say here in these verses, you become like the lotus, right? Which is born in the water, which grows in the water, so ultimately dies in the water, but its leaves never become wet. Right? We can be in this world, but not of it. And he ends this section in text 17 by saying that when one is enlightened by the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, by which their ignorance is destroyed, then their knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. When we hear this verse, it should give us hope and encouragement that in this lifetime I can become like this, that everything will be lit up, that I'll understand who I am. I'll understand what I'm doing in this world. I'll understand what I'm meant to learn. I'll be able to let go of everything that locks me down in this world and become free. And in text 17 through 29, to the end of the chapter, we get another beautiful picture of the self-realized soul, of the sage of steady mind, of the person not acting on the level of duty, just duty. He is dutiful, and not just on the level of theoretical knowledge. He's got knowledge, but he's got wisdom. That knowledge has matured in this person, and now they're moving through this world, just as we heard here, with everything lit up, with all their senses under control, with all their selfish desires have died down, right? They're feeling this happiness from within. They're seeing everything very clearly. And I wanted to share with you three qualities of this sage of steady mind that are spoken through. They're spoken about throughout the Bhagavad-gītā, but within these verses, especially verses 19 through 24, we're going to hear about these three qualities. And I think as yogis, as bhakti yogis, we can really focus. We can try to take a picture of this in our mind. We can think about people that we feel embody these qualities, and we can make it our mission to develop these and mature these within ourselves. If we can do that, we'll be able to absorb our mind. We'll be able to absorb our mind in Krishna's pastimes. We'll be able to absorb our mind in Krishna's names, and through that absorption, develop divine love. Right? But again, it's when we operate from that platform. I heard of really interesting. I'm going off a little bit on a tangent here, but I read something from Srila Prabhupada where someone was asking him about how can we chant higher quality japa, right? When we're meditating on the names of Krishna, how can we chant higher quality? And he was saying you have to become higher quality. When you become higher quality, you'll chant higher quality. And this is part of what that means, right? That we develop these qualities, and I'll share them with you. The first one is called samatvam, which means even-mindedness, right? We've spoken about this before. It was Krishna said that this samatvam yoga uchate, that it's this even-mindedness that turns regular work into yoga, right? Because this even-mindedness is the result of mature knowledge. Being able to walk through the world, whether it's hot or cold, you're not complaining. You're not celebrating. You're just fine. Either way is okay. You know already that the world is always going through ups and downs. You don't go up and down with it. You stay steady through it, right? Samatvam, right? Then the next one is called samadarshana, very important, that we can see beyond the body, external body, even beyond the external mindsets of every living being. We can see them that there's a spiritual equality in every living being. We heard in the last chapter, in chapter 4, how when we learn knowledge from a self-realized soul, that this is what we see, that every living being, right, is part of the Supreme. We're all made of the same spiritual energy. We show love and respect to every living being, every human, every animal, every plant, right? We hear about that in text 18, very famous verse. And then we hear about anta sukha. Anta means internal. Sukha means happiness. There's an inner happiness, right? Once we come in touch with that inner happiness and we realize that I don't need anything external to find happiness. As a matter of fact, every happiness that I find through externals, I eventually lose, and it causes just as much pain as happiness, as happiness that was received through it. And so these three give us a real clear picture about what is spirituality. What does it look like? What does enlightenment look like? This is the sage of the steady mind. This is the person that we're going to hear about in these verses. I'll read some of them because they're just so nice. It's like impossible not to read them. So let me pull up. Let's see. Probably should start with maybe 17. Krishna says, when one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of all misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Now we hear about Samadarshana. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, right? A very refined person, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, a person not so refined in their behavior, right? He's not judging him. He recognizes that their behavior is not so good, but he knows that underneath that, there's a spotless spiritual spark, and he can see that and respect that, okay? Text 19. Those whose mind, now samatvam, even-mindedness, those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless, like Brahman, like the spiritual energy, and thus they are already situated in Brahman, even though they're working in this world, right? Even though they're carrying out worldly responsibilities. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. I saw a really nice clip from Raghunath just the other day. He was giving a class in Rishikesh, and he says, how many of you, life is going really difficult right now? You're going through a winter season in life. And some people raise their hands and says, well, I've got news for you. The seasons change. So it's difficult now. It is going to be easier later. It'll let up. Then he said, how many of you are having a really easy time in life now, a really pleasant time in life? And he says, well, I've got news for you too. And that is that seasons change, right? So externally, we know that it's going to be pleasant sometimes and unpleasant other times. And the yogi is convinced of this, and so they haven't attached their well-being, their mental well-being, their happiness to that. They found it within, right? And so they keep an even mind no matter what's happening external. A person who neither rejoices upon something pleasant, they know that's going to change, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, they know that's going to change too. Who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God is already situated in transcendence. Text 21, such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance. Right? Even they're working in this world, they're one pointed in their mind, enjoying the pleasure within, right? Antasukha. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Right? If I focus my mind on limited external things to find happiness, then my happiness will be limited and very temporary. If my happiness is in relation to what's eternal, well then my happiness will be eternal. And in text 22, an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, material, external things, which are due to contact with the material senses, right? I find my happiness when my senses contact this object. Oh, Arjuna, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so a wise person does not delight in them. Before giving up this present body, right, if we can achieve this before we die, right, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses, I know the senses are going to call for things, but it's okay. I don't respond to them. And check the force of desire and anger, that person is well situated and happy in this world. One whose happiness is within, Antasukha, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is always the perfect mystic. They are liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately they attain the Supreme. Right? Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings. Now, notice the contrast there, right? They're working for the welfare of all living beings, being a good mother, being a good father, being a responsible person in the business world. Whatever they're doing it for the good of others. But their mind is engaged internally. They have an inner life that other people that are engaged externally don't have. And Krishna's point is, you could walk away from the world, but not have this inner life. You could walk away from the world and still be externally focused. But he's saying you can be internally focused as you work in this world, right? They're always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, all bad karma, achieve liberation in the Supreme. Okay, let's just jump to the, it's interesting. In text 27 and 28, he gives a preview, a vision of Ashtanga Yoga, right? Where someone shuts down all the external senses. They control their breath. They focus their vision, between the eyebrows. They control their mind. They control their senses. They control their intelligence, and they connect with God within themselves. He's saying that through karma yoga, you can achieve the qualification to do that. But then he makes it very clear, and this is the final verse of the 5th chapter, text 29. He says how one gains peace ultimately. And Srila Prabhupada called this verse the peace formula. It's three things. You have to realize three things. He says, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be, right, the supreme enjoyer, the supreme controller, and the supreme friend, right? That person achieves peace from the pangs of material miseries in life, right? It's interesting because if we look at these first two concepts, right, that Krishna, it's the word is Bhoktaram. Prabhupada translates it as the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, right? Bhoktaram yagna tapasam. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam, all your yagnas, all your sacrifices, and all your tapasya, all of your austerities. He says, I'm the object of them. I'm the one that they're meant to be offered. They should be done for my pleasure. And then he says, Sarva Loka, of all places, of all planets, Maheshwaram. I'm not just the controller, I'm the Maha Ishvaram. I'm the great controller. I'm the controller of the controllers. So he's saying, I'm the enjoyer, do everything for my enjoyment. I'm the controller of everything. that is a scary idea for most of us, right? That there's some being that ontologically we are meant to be submissive to eternally, right? And that is controlling everything. But if we only understand that and we don't understand the full picture, we don't understand Krishna. Because then he says, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. Of all living entities, of Sarva, all Bhutanam, of all living entities, I am Suhridam. I am the very dear friend, right? I care. Su means good, and Hridam refers to the heart. He's got nothing but goodness in his heart for us. So he's saying we sacrifice for all kinds of people. And we don't really benefit from it, right? A lot of times we're exploited by it, right? There are all kind of controllers in our lives that are situated higher than us. They often exploit us, right? And it makes us uncomfortable with the idea that there is a being that I'm meant to connect with. Like a leaf serves the root, and the root sustains the leaf. That we are all like leaves on a tree. And Krishna is saying, I am that root. You water that root, and every leaf is sustained through it. He's saying, I'm the center. Ontologically, that is the design. Learn to live in harmony with that design, and you're going to find peace. And peace from all the pangs of material miseries in this life. Arjuna was really suffering from the miseries of life. He was looking for some peace, and Krishna gave him the formula with a beautiful description of the sage of steady mind. Next chapter, chapter 6, a very fascinating one. We're going to get deep into Ashtanga Yoga and hear Krishna's idea of what is the highest. Again, he's going to speak in terms of hierarchies. He's going to say, in my opinion, this is the greatest yogi of all. Thank you all so much. Please enjoy reading the 5th chapter today, and we'll catch you tomorrow.